it's only right that I bring like one person I consider one of like the best financial advisors in the world. I mean, I can say what I want. Look him up. His name is George, but I'm gonna let you tell everyone exactly who you are.
Yeah, well, thank you for the gracious introduction. My name is George Acheampong, and I've been a financial advisor for the last decade. I guess if I had to sum up what I do or like who I am from a career standpoint, is I help you with three main things. I'm going to help you make more money. I'm going to help you manage it more effectively, and I'm going to help you maximize it. Right? Those are kind of my three pillars. Like when I got started in this industry, I didn't see many advisors that look like me. I didn't see many advisors advocating for people that look like me. And so I knew that I had to carve out a space to really help serve communities of color when it comes to helping us build wealth, or like I like to say, help us normalize Black wealth. And so, that's the long or short of it. I have a podcast as well called The Uncensored Show. I have a investment advisory firm. So if you're looking for someone to help you manage your investments, you can do it there. And I just announced that I'll be launching a financial social network this year, which is really exciting. Actually, this month. Who am I kidding? This literally, I do everything I can to help people, no matter where they're at and what status. And also, I give a lot of free game. So um,
I can attest to so much free game that you give. So just a little backstory on our guest today, who has just explained everything about his background. We are familiar. We attended college in the same city. And so we caught up after I was released out of prison, and he immediately was able to assist me with a lot of things. And I know a lot of people right now were listening to like your accolades and your achievements and different businesses that you're, starting out right now. And they're
yeah.
like, how is he about to help me? Like, this is, a lot of these people we're talking about individuals that have been in prison, educating those who have not been in prison, what it's going to be like what's the tie to that? And
Right,
like he said, he's trying to normalize Black wealth in the community. And
right,
like everyone should know about my podcast, I'm just trying to normalize everybody, including us, into the conversation.
absolutely.
And so, how would you kind of correlate, an individual that's been impacted, has been sent into prison, financially is not stable compared to like, the typical like, Black individual in a community outside of prison?
Yeah. So the way I would correlate it is that at the end of the day, we live in a society with, the beautiful thing about the internet is, sometimes you might have a company or a gatekeeper or someone who is going to stereotype, who you are and what your position is and what label they want to place on you. And it might seem limiting, right? It might seem like, well, dang, how am I ever going to get out of this financial situation if this place won't hire me because of my record or hire me because of my background? Well, the beautiful thing about the internet is it doesn't care about your background, right? And you can create a business online without having to, go through a gatekeeper to earn money, right? And when it comes to opening an investment account or things of that nature, right? Like, sometimes you have to answer certain questions, but by and large, you'll be able to start that investment account, start that savings account, start that bank account, and you don't have to worry about, is there a gatekeeper or someone preventing you from creating opportunity for yourselves? And so the internet, I believe is one of the great equalizers, right? Because, you're able to kind of almost put it like I have friends who have brands and businesses that you don't even know they're affiliated with, right? And so it's like, not to say that you have to do that to be successful, because one of the great things about the internet is that you have an opportunity to use your voice as a platform, and your actual story can actually be something that can resonate and connect with other people. Whereas when you're trying to work for someone else who might not care about that story or might think it's a hindrance, now you're able to actually leverage your story as a platform, right? And with that platform, you're able to do different things in order to, improve your financial situation. So I would look at it as a blessing in disguise. Your story, your narrative, your situation, that's your niche, right? You know what I'm saying? Like correctional views is this podcast, right? That's your niche. And so it's like when you have the ability to create your own platform and there's no gatekeeper, right? It's not like you're knocking on NBC's door and saying, hey, look, I need to be able to get my message out, right? You can literally turn on the camera, use your cell phone, whatever you have to get started where you are. And you'd be surprised and what that can turn into. A great example of that is Wallow. You know who Wallow is, right? Wallow 267. I'm gonna see his profile. Like, he dude was in jail for like 20 years. Came out, heard about social media, because he obviously went in before social media was a thing. Came out, heard about Instagram, heard about Facebook, started telling his story, and the rest is history. So those who know who Wallow is, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But like, just remember that the internet is the great equalizer, and you will have an opportunity to be able to do what you want to do, build the platform that you want to build, and not have to worry about anybody blocking you from doing it.
Okay, and so I try to put myself in like the mindset of like somebody like randomly listening to, advice coming in, because a lot of times those coming out of, prison, you're mentally, you hit, you're just like, I survived. I didn't die after I ate the food, and hopefully like you walk out comfortably. And so you're just like, yo, how you talking about getting to the internet? Like they're thinking like, how do I get home? How do I do X, Y, and Z? And to those individuals who are like, you're having those go up automatically, I just want to let you know that you don't really have to, there's no real rules getting out of prison.
Right.
And when I say that, you're going to be like, yes, there are. There are background checks, and, there's policies, and there's bills, and there's all of this other stuff. Get it, got it. I suffer from the same tragedies. However, I will say it again, there's no rules. So I came out, I started this podcast. I did, I worked at a gym teaching. I was at GNC working so I can get all of my stuff on discount. And I was working at an alarm company training. I quit my training job because I needed to do more stuff with correctional views. Everybody told me, go apply for a job that'll hire you. No, I just kept honing in on my skills. Granted, I have a little bit of cushion and I'm able to do that financially to where I can back away from a job. But if you can start honing in on your skills now, or if you can contact whoever is currently incarcerated now to like hone in on their skills, those skills make money, like a lot. And so, I'm not working at GNC. I'm not working at the gym anymore. A lot of people don't know I started drawing in prison. That transferred over to graphic design when I actually got technology again. And I have a naturally creative mind. I'm going to tell you that I didn't come up with the idea to utilize all that stuff for income. I'm going to tell you that I listened to George's Side Hustle Bootcamp. And that's where that came from. Okay, so it was $50. And $50, depending on who you ask, is not a lot of money, George. You know that. But I mean, $50 for me at the time was like, I wasn't working for $60K at that moment. So
let me do this real quick right now, right here live on the podcast.
Okay.
If anybody who's listening to this podcast and feels like they're in a situation and they're stuck and they have the desire to get unstuck, but feel like there's a barrier to entry, $50, $97, whatever it is. If you reach out to her, I will give it to you for free. No matter how long it is, if it's six days from when it goes live or 6 years from when it goes live, assuming it's still, the course still exists. Because I know podcasts, sometimes people go back and binge watch or listen. Or whatever. I will honor that, right? And so, because I don't want there to be any reason why you aren't able to get out of your situation, whether it's $50, $97, whatever the case may be. So
okay, but I'm telling them that I took this class for $50. I have a job that's offering me $60K, but I haven't told them anything about the class. Like, what is the actual class like honing in on? Yeah,
so the class is showing you, like you said, how to monetize a skill set. Thinking, you might think that you can't monetize it, right? So one of the things I talk about is I say that the entire economy is based upon this principle, right? If you were to come home and flip over, anything that you own, whether it's a mug, a plate, or whatever, it's probably going to tell you where it's made at. And more than likely, that thing is made in China or it's made somewhere else. It's not made in America, right? But it's made by someone else, right? What you'll find is that someone decides to create a brand around it, right? And it's like, oh, I can buy this. I did it, right? Like, I can buy this mug. I can slap a brand on. This is just one example. The concept is you can be the middleman and make money, right? That's one thing I talk about in the program, right? Because maybe you're coming home, you're like, I got a skill, but it's like, maybe I don't know exactly how I'm going to monetize it right now. Maybe I'm not in the right headspace to do it. You just want to leverage what someone else has built and be able to be the middleman to connect it to what somebody else needs, right? And so one of the things I talk about in the Side Hustle Bootcamp is learning the art of being the middleman, right? So if another place you can buy something for $1, but you know that you can sell it for $5, right? Then essentially you have a business. You don't have to worry about creating and manufacturing. It's just, how can I be the middleman, right?
Yeah.
To sell it. Exactly. That's one of the easiest ways to get started. Another thing is even coming to somebody like me and say, hey, you know what? Imagine if I could just sell somebody else's information, right? Like be an affiliate for them, right? It could almost be like you're just talking about it, like you're just ranting and raving about it. But every time you share your link with someone, you can make, again, middleman. I created the course. I'm the one with all the credibility. All you're doing is saying, hey, look, if you want to create a side hustle, I recommend you take this guy's course. It just so happens that the link that you're sharing, you get 50% commission on the link, right? And so it's like, how can you be the middleman is one of the biggest components that I talk about in the Side Hustle Bootcamp, right? The other thing that I talk about is, what are you doing right now that you could monetize, right? You might not think you can, but what are you doing? What did you do before you went in? What skill did you learn while you were inside? Like, and how do you then take that skill, package it up, and be able to sell it? And that's what I talk about. Sorry, I keep rubbing my eye. That's what I talk about in the Side Hustle Bootcamp, right? How you can become an affiliate, how you can be a middleman, how you can start your own brand, and how you can monetize a skill set to make more money.
And as you're sitting there describing that, I'm just like, off the top of my head, I'm thinking, if you've gone to prison is already a hustle. So there's a lot of people in there and they're trying to survive. Everybody can't afford to buy off a store. So they have to develop the skills. There's the girls that go around, they'll do your eyebrows. Those be girls there's girls that do other girls' hair. You have girls that'll wash clothes for, there's always like a hustle. Like they make the cutest things. I have no idea how some of the things were made.
Yeah, I saw this one video. This dude made like a whole like grilled cheese situation. Like he was chefing it up. I'm like,
I used to make fried burritos in there. Nobody will let me make them for them.
that's what it was. It was like a burrito. That's what it was. It was like a burrito or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's full of nothing good for your body, but it's in that at that time your taste buds are like, okay, this is heaven. But yeah, everybody has a side hustle. I remember there was this one girl, she made tamales every Saturday.
Wow.
And they were good and everybody went to her. So she knows every Friday night, she's probably cooking all night. Saturday, she's sitting there and she's just collecting people's paying her for her tamales. And so it's just like, when he was saying that previously, I'm just thinking, if you had a craft, there are people that are painting, drawing portraits and sending them home, and I'm like, these are legit professional portraits. Like people would pay money for those and they're selling them for like $10, $15 a slab. Mm-hmm. If you have like some type of skill that the world would like utilize, like you have to look in on that. And that's like the biggest thing. Like I said, I already told you everything that I honed in on, it's working for me right now. It's allowing me to run my organization. It's allowing me to work for other organizations. The one thing though, George, I haven't figured out how to do yet, looking at your sweatshirt, is make money while I'm sleeping.
Yeah. So you want to talk about that?
We can definitely talk, because we have the context of knowing like, okay, what's my craft? Yeah. And if we're having a craft, that's something we're going to have to trade our time for to get that money. So, right now, yeah, I'm making that amount of money, but I'm giving them time out of my life. Like that's not for free. I'm not going to sleep and making money. And the other night I was like kind of mad about it because George has posts, like he'll just share everything. So, he's very transparent. Right. And I just like got on my IG stories one morning and he had a post where like all these accounts were sending him money while he was sleeping. And so I looked at my bank account and I knew that there wasn't going to be a similar transaction, but it was more frustrating because I looked at your screen and I saw all this money coming in, and I looked at my screen and I saw all this money going out. And so now it's kind of displaced me when I spend money because I'm like, what's coming back in for me?
Right. Money, most people spend money almost every day. So you got to make money every day. You got to make money every day.
How
So my
is
first goal, go ahead.
I was gonna say, is that an outlandish goal for someone just released from prison?
Yeah, I mean, and it's not an outlandish goal. It's like start small. Like I didn't start out making money every day, right? Like when I first became an entrepreneur, there might have been a whole month I didn't make money. You know what I mean? Right. So it's like the first thing is, will someone buy something from me? Right? Like, man, I figured that part out. So like, if someone will buy this and they're not my auntie, cousin, best friend, right? Pookie and them, if it ain't one of them,
I'm doing something right.
I'm doing something right,
You know,
right?
everybody's gonna have a team of people that's gonna buy it just cause. Like,
Yeah.
I got your back.
Once you get past that, if somebody who don't really know you like that, they just like, I like that. Boom, I'm gonna buy that. Boom, you got something. You know what I'm saying? And at that point, then it's like just studying the type of people who buy from you that aren't your friends and family, because that tells you who your message or what you're selling, who is resonating with, and that's who you kind of becomes your target market, right? Because the way you make money in your sleep is you have to know how to target, right? So like there's two ways to make money in your sleep, with multiple ways. Number one is if you own assets that pay you, right? Number two is if you have a business that's like a physical product or digital product business that people can go and shop on it 24 hours a day. It's not a brick and mortar store that opens at 8 and closes at 6. If it's an e-commerce store, it's open 24 hours, right? However, what you have to be able to drive traffic to that, right? Like it's open 24 hours, but like if no one knows it exists, then it's just an open store, right? So then how do you drive traffic? You drive traffic by knowing who is most likely to shop with you and getting in front of those people, right? By using paid advertising. So that is how you make money in your sleep. You get in front of the people who want to buy your stuff and they buy it. Is more of the story, right? Like I spend a decent amount of money on paid advertising every month. Why? Because I figured out who wants my stuff. And if I figured out who wants my stuff, why wouldn't I get in front of as many of those people as possible? Right. The only reason why you wouldn't is a money thing. You might think, ooh, well, I would, but like, I don't have an advertising budget. Right. So again, the way you develop that is just by starting small, right? Maybe it's $10 a day at first. Then you reinvest the profits, back into the business. Then it turns into $30 a day. Then $50 a day. Now that might sound crazy, but what if every time you put $1 in, you got $3 out? Every time, like clockwork, I put $1 in, I'm gonna get $3 out. How many times would you want to put that dollar in if it was a proven science?
Well, I'll tell you, I put $16 into the lottery and I only got $4 back. So we're not invested in that no more.
There you go. Can't even use the word invested when it comes to the lottery, right? And so it's like you start to wake up and realize these things like, man, if I see a sponsored post on my page, on my social media, that's not reserved for the big brands. I can do that too, right? I can do it too. And you start to learn. But here's what I will say. The most important thing you got to know is that if you don't know it, it's your biggest vulnerability. And you have to be hungry for knowledge, hungry for information, right? Because you can't rely on somebody to come save you. You can't rely on that. Like you have to understand that, like, all right, bet. Well, y'all can't prevent me from learning this information. Y'all can't prevent me from applying this information. So you got that. That is your most secret and deadly weapon, is applied knowledge, right? So I put out that course, right? And when you apply it, you can win. That's just one thing. But like, there's so much stuff that you can learn. You can learn how to do paid advertising, right? You can learn how to create your own e-commerce store. Like, but you have to be willing to pay with your time to be able to get the result. Because in the beginning, like we all want sleeping bag money, right? We all want to be able to make money while we sleep. But what got me there is by spending thousands of hours over the last decade learning stuff, right? What I try to do when I create these programs or put out free game on the internet is to condense that time frame. But you still got to put time in. You still got to take what I'm saying and do the work, right? So like that's the key, is like taking information, learning from other people, expediting your learning curve. You don't have to know somebody personally for them to be a mentor, right? A book, if you've got a book, that's a like, like you don't have to know somebody personally. If what they're saying resonates with you or it feels like it's something you want to learn, Read their book, check out their posts. Do they have a blog? Do they have a podcast? Then guess what? Congratulations, they're your mentor, right?
I think that's very crucial for people to do that. So if you have access to look around on social media or different platforms, I think the best place to find online mentors is YouTube. Honestly, because there's plenty of videos on everything. I've learned how to do some crazy things on YouTube. Teaches you everything.
Mm-hmm.
However, reach out, to people that you know. Because like quick story, like I was when I was like at the beginning before correctional views was like, all underway. I had to create a website. I'm looking for a developer, and I speak to one of our friends, Donald Boone,
Yeah, yeah.
and he's like, make the website yourself. I said, I ain't got time for that. I was like, I don't have time. I have too much to do. And then I find out how many children he has and his job and what he's doing and his wife. And I was like, what is your excuse? And so, in doing that without hiring that web developer, because I honestly did have time to do it, I learned how to create my own website. I learned how to upkeep my website. I don't have to pay somebody to change anything on my website.
Mhm.
And that is just solely on me right now until I'm able to hire someone and I don't have to think about it. But right now, self-sufficient. And so it took me investing that time, but to learn those things because there half the stuff on this computer. I've been gone for 5 years. I didn't even know all the tricks Apple could do. So I think that's highly beneficial. But you were speaking about, it takes time to get to the sleeping bag.
Mhm.
And even starting out, like coming out, what I just need people to continue to know is there's a list of jobs that are going to say, hey, if you are an individual that's titled something I don't like to call individuals in this country, that states you're some person that broke a law, these are the only places that you can work.
Right.
And so there's always going to be loopholes with that. So don't always stick to that. But you have to understand this is 2021. We just survived 2020 COVID season. And the jobs that individuals that are impacted that can apply for, they're like grocery store, hospitality, cable networks, restaurants,
Mhm.
airlines, retail, Uber, rental service. These are places I know people that work currently and they never went to
Yeah,
prison.
yeah. Again, internet, great equalizer, right? Like, man, I'm gonna just give y'all some game real quick. And this is like one of the things in the program, right? Here's what I would do. Here's if I didn't if somehow the vision that I have for my business, my brand, I didn't have it, or life came at me fast and I ended up going inside and came out. This is exactly what I would do to make money just like that. Right. What I would do is I would just pay attention to trends or things that seem like people find valuable, right? Maybe video editing, maybe podcast editing, maybe people need marketing videos for their business, right? And I would go to, this because you took the program, right? I would go to a website like fiverr.com, Fivver, I think is how it's spelled. And I would go look at someone likely overseas who can do those things that people will find of high value, right? So I would do. I wouldn't notice. I didn't say anything about a website, nothing about a domain. This is the first thing I would do, right? Then I would spend the 10, 15, $25, find a way, right? Just I'm not gonna tell you how to find $25, $50. Find a way to get it legally, obviously. Find a way to get the money. And I would get a sample of that work, whether it's video editing, whether it's whatever. Because now guess what? You got a portfolio, right? But at one time, now you got a portfolio. Then what I would do is I would reach out individually via direct message, DM, they got their email available. Hey, Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so, love what you're doing with your brand. I don't know if you know this or not, but I actually have a company where I create, let's just insert an option, whiteboard videos for your brand, right? It'll be a 30 to 90-second video that will help tell the story of what your company does. And it's only going to cost you 3 times higher. I mean, this is now going off script. You're going to charge 2 to 3 times more than it's going to cost you to get it on Fiverr. Fiverr, they might charge you 50, you're going to charge 200, right? And I will create one for you for $200. Here's an attached example of my work, right? That's exactly what I do. That is 100% compliant and legal because I have people, right? I don't do a lot of behind the scenes stuff anymore, right? Through my advisory firm, I'm capable. But even if I wasn't, I could still go out as a salesperson and say that I represent or I can do this as long as I know that it can be done, right? So then you reach out to them. Oh, great. I love this. How can I pay you? Oh, now you think, oh, I got to get an invoice to software. I got to, you know what? Let's keep it simple. You can just cash at me, right? Again, this is just raw starting out. This isn't like getting all your business infrastructure, LLC. Like, don't worry about any of that. Because if you worry about that, you're going to be overwhelmed and you're going to think you can't do it, right? You get to send them to Cash App, send them to PayPal, email payment. PayPal is free. You can set up invoices through PayPal if you use PayPal, right? Send the invoice or send the Cash App ID. Because at the end of the day, they just want their product. You're going to have some people that are like pressed and like, oh, well, what's your website? What's all that? But like, again, there's 7 billion people in the world, right? You're going to keep going to the person who's okay with your current status where you're at right now. Hey, we just like to keep it really simple. We're going to be able to communicate through email. This is all we're going to do. We don't care about a website right now because all we care about is showing you the quality of our work. And I just showed you what we can do, right? Be quick on your feet, right? Keep it super simple. Get that 200. Go back to the person you know who can deliver. When you fill out an order on Fiverr, they tell you the requested information that you need. All you got to do is replicate that and send that in an email. You don't need a special web form. You don't need any software, even though Google Forms is free. You can use Google Forms. You take that information, you put it in a form or an email, and then you send it to them. You then just take that and fill it in with the Fiverr person, and now you've made money. That's what I would do if I didn't have anything figured out. And that's like the game that's in some of the game that's in the course.
And that's like a lot of free game, because if you're not aware, if just coming home, whoever you are, that is like the king. If I don't feel like doing work, I'm going to go to that website because then I don't have to worry about it.
Right.
Am I capable of doing it? Absolutely. Can I go to sleep if they do it? Absolutely.
Right.
So a lot of people, that website is actually very popular. So I wish that just sounds like easy money though. That really sounds too good to be true.
And that is, so here's the thing. Sleeping bag society, sleeping bag is like, it's not literally like you always having to be sleep, right? Like that sounds catchy. What it really means is you found a way to separate your time from the way you make money. You found a way to make it more efficiently, right? Because even though you're still having to have a conversation, you see the trend middleman, right? Person that wants the service, someone that can do the service, me right in the middle. Even though in that scenario, you're having to spend a little bit of time connecting the dots, but you're spending way less time than having to edit a video, master a skill. Like, you see what I'm saying? So it's not always just about, I mean, it's nice. And I do literally make money while I'm asleep, but it's more about like, can I be more efficient with the way that I make money? Can money be made without me having to do all the work, right? And so like, that's what it's all about. It's like decoupling your time from the way that you make money. Because in that scenario, even though you're having to connect the dots, that's the 20-minute exchange, right? How long would it take you to edit or create that video? Or more importantly, master the skill set to even know how to create that video, right? So that's what it's about. Like, how can I make money that isn't tied to my time? Because when that video is being edited, you're asleep, right? And so, or you're out spending time with your family, you're not having to do it. And so just thinking more strategically and remembering that you don't have to trade hours of your life just to get paid. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the big takeaway is how can I do it more efficiently? Then when you get more efficient, then you can figure out how to literally make it while you sleep. Because guess what? Once you figure out this little relationship that I just gave you, being the middleman, and you know that people want it. Why do you know people want it? Because you sold it to them one-to-one. Then guess what? You take the information from those people and now you have a target market. Now you can run advertising that runs 24/7 to your store that's open 24/7, thus sleeping bag society.
And just let me not kind of like just be honest with the whole paid advertisement, because you hear paid advertisement and you're like, I can't afford that. Like it just rings expensive in my head. Start small. So let me tell you how Dominique Goodman used to run paid advertisement on Facebook. $2 a day. That's how I started. I had table talks and I wanted more people to come. I'm trying to increase my views. All I can afford is $2 a day right now because I want to run this for, 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just like, yes, that's going to restrict how many people it does reach, but it's reaching more people than what it would have without that $2. And
Right.
so as if that continues to expand, then maybe you can put $4 in a day, maybe $5. Like, you just start small. Like, don't, like he said, he didn't start sleeping and making money yesterday.
No.
He's been doing this for a long time. And a lot of times when people are released, you're just trying to catch up. How do I get to where everybody else is at? We're not going to do that overnight.
Right. Not to mention, you don't even know where everybody else is at, because the internet, while it's a great equalizer, there's also a bunch of weirdos, right? A bunch of weirdos, a bunch of flexing, a bunch of people like they aren't really who they say they are. So like, please don't come home and be like, oh, I'm so far behind, because you'd be surprised. It's a lot of people just out here like, faking the funk. You know what I'm saying? Peeing in your face and telling you that it's raining.
Let me tell you though. So what you don't also get excited or get frustrated about is like when you see somebody drive up in a nice car, right? So they might have like a 2020 brand new Jeep. Okay, cool. That looks nice. You're like, how do I get a new car? Do you really want that car payment?
Right.
So thanks to my job, I was able to purchase a car that I needed. But I got a 2010 Honda Civic. Why? Because I'm not fancy about cars. I really don't care. I've had a Civic before. They're loyal. I know that much. And they're
These
really good on
cars
gas.
are-
And once again, I know that I can pay that car off in a couple months.
Mhm.
So low goals, reduce stress, and then just tackle what I needed right now. However, if you sit up here and you try to match what you may see on social media, people aren't going to show you that they're in debt or they bought that with their credit card just so they could wear that somewhere. Or
Right.
some
Or
people
that they're
buy shoes
stressed.
just to
Or that they're stressed and they have to work a job or do something they don't want to do to prop up the lifestyle.
Yeah, that's very true. So people social media isn't real life.
It's not. I mean, for some people, like some people are being who they said they are, but at the end of the day, for the most part, a lot of people are just showing you what they want to show. They're showing you their highlight reels.
Yeah.
A basketball game is 48 minutes, but you go to ESPN, they're gonna show you the top, 3-4 moments, right? There's some slow patches in between. There's some less exciting, moments, right? And so people, naturally, it's natural human instinct. People want to show you the best of the best, right? Or the curated version of what they want to show you. And so you just got to know that. And so you got to keep the blinders on and you got to stay focused on what you're trying to do and not worry about anybody else.
Okay. And so just to let you know, before we wrap it up, every year there's approximately 2.3 million people that are incarcerated in America right now.
Wow.
A lot of people. Every year, though, 650,000 people are released. Out of those 650,000 people, 2/3 of them come right back to prison, sometimes within a span of between 6 to 9 months, just depending on the locations. However, a lot of that is due to the fact that people are getting out. They don't have jobs. They're, trying to obtain some lifestyle that they cannot afford. And so they may go back to obtaining money in the manner that may have caused them to go into prison.
Right.
You can have like a whole lot of things going on. So like my question would be like to somebody that, and I don't speak incarceration on anyone's life. However, I feel if you've been keeping up with this podcast, nobody spoke incarceration on my life either, except those judges. And so you just have to think about certain things. If you are to go, how would you even tell somebody, hey, you're about to be incarcerated. This is money that you should save while you're there, just so you can have that $15 so you can pay that $5 account and so you can start your business. Because some people incarcerated, they're making 15 cents an hour, George. So I'm working 15 cents an hour, 36 hours a week, maybe pulling in $12 every 2 weeks. I also need shampoo, and they only feed us twice on the weekend, so I'm gonna need to buy some chips and some ramen. And that's gonna take about $9. And so what, you're 3?
Because the only thing is, here's what I would do. Like, I'm in full transparency, I don't think that the money that you're going to be able to make is going to have a substantial impact from like a saving or investing perspective. So your best bet is to invest in yourself. That's not to sound cliche,
Mm.
But your best bet is to put yourself in the best position possible to take advantage of the things that you learn when you get out. So if anything, so for example, right, if anything, right, I would, there's a platform called Udemy, like it's like an education platform. I'm not sure if you ever heard of it, where the courses on there are like really, really affordable. So what I would do is, to the extent of what's possible, like what information I have access to, I would try to spend my money, if I had to spend any money, on making myself an asset, quite frankly, right? Because Elon Musk said, he's now the richest person in the world, right? He said that you get paid in the direct proportion to the problems that you solve, right? So what I would do is I would identify, what can I learn that I feel like will be a good skill set when I get out, right? Whether that's information you can actually learn while you're incarcerated or information that you have to pay for online to learn. That's what I would focus on, because that's what's going to help you really get the money that you need when you get out, right? By you having something like, for example, I'm not really doing coaching this year just because I value my time, and between my e-commerce brand and investing, like I'll continue to give away a bunch of free game. And then I also have this financial social network where I can give information away at scale, but I'm not doing a lot of one-to-one anything. If you're a friend of mine or I care about you, I'm always a text message, voice note away. And I'm, I don't, you know that, right? Like, and I'll tell you whatever I can that's relevant to help. But in terms of like formally, like working with someone in an intimate capacity, I'm not doing a whole lot of that anymore. Right. But I know at any given time, if I need to make $3,000 tomorrow, someone will pay me $3,000 for 3 hours of my time. Right. It's a high income skill set, right? Because I've created enough value to where someone knows that what they learn from me in that session is gonna be worth more than I pay him. And so here's a quick tidbit, and I'll get back to answering your question. The easiest way to sell something in life is to make someone else think that they're getting over on you, right? What do I mean by that? If I go to Amazon.com and there's this book, they're like, man, I think that book is gonna be full of gems. It's $9, right? I feel like the book is worth more than the $9, right? So the key in life is, anything, if I ever want to sell something, how can I make it more valuable than the perceived cost, right? And so that's just like an aside. But back to your question, I would invest in myself. I would take that money to learn information that I believe that when I get out is going to be worth a lot of money people pay me for. You know what I'm saying? Whether that's digital marketing, whether that's taxes, because everybody hates Uncle Sam. Like, I would learn a skill that's like, people will pay for this, right? That's what I'm spend my money on, because the $12, the $15, while I never diminish the dollar amount of what it is, you want to invest that money into something that is going to give you the ability to make more money. And investing it like in the stock market or saving with that dollar amount isn't going to have as much impact as you investing in yourself and acquiring knowledge that can help you make more money. You know what I mean? That's what I would suggest.
So let me do a quick translation to someone else, and exactly what you said, different lingo. So what he's saying is, you made $12 and he's telling you to invest in yourself, and you're probably thinking, hey, well, this is what I need to buy still. Okay, cool. You need to buy shampoo. So instead of just buying one shampoo, do you wash clothes? Because we all know how things are in the prison system. So you're going to ask, like, do you wash clothes? Like, all right, cool. You wash clothes. Instead of buying one bottle of shampoo, you're going to buy 4 bottles of shampoo. So now you're going to wash other people's clothes with those 3 bottles of shampoo, and now they have to give you something. And so you've invested in yourself out of those $12, but that is coming back to you because of something that you've put into yourself. So those are some additional things that you can do while incarcerated. Pretty sure correctional officers don't want to hear me say that, but it just is what it is. It's still going to happen. Another thing I know, because while I was incarcerated, I actually took a paralegal class. So there are classes that send in books for those that don't have access to the internet, and you're able to study and learn that way. And so I was able to get certified through that. And just looking, I'm going to provide a link, just get some different information that way. If you need it, someone that needs it, a family member, loved one, anyone, these are things that they can start pouring into themselves. Yes, they do cost. It's just that part of it, we just there's nothing really to do about it. But it's just like you said, he can't tell you how to get that $25, but sometimes you have to find a way. And it just sucks sometimes because you want somebody to give you the answer. It don't.
Yeah, and I get it, right? I know that that would be easier, but like what you have to lock in on is if this is going to get me a one step closer, because we're not looking to get from A to Z. People always use that analogy. I want to this is to get you from A to Z. No, no, no. I just want to get to B, right? Like you don't got to have it all figured out. Like you don't have to get to Z because that's getting to Z is going to overwhelm you, right? Getting to Z is like, oh, you should start a business, and getting to Z is all right, get an LLC, then figure out if someone else is using it, buy a domain. Like you need to be like, oh my gosh, like
George, do you remember George checked me one day? And it was the first time he checked me. I was like, oh. I just got the LLC. I like stuff was going well with my podcast. I started coming up with all of these plans. I was like, George, I'm gonna do a brunch this fall. And I'm gonna bring this. It was a great vision, like wonderful idea. However, the bandwidth that I had and the financial means to actually make it happen would have made it so stressful. But I had all these plans. I'm making all these dates, and George was like, Dom, nobody knows what you're planning right now. You know you can chill, right? And I think that sometimes like you need to do that too, because I was wanting last year, I thought I was supposed to be successful already. What success was, I can't even tell you, but I thought I was supposed to have it all together.
I'm gonna show you. I'm glad you said that. I'm gonna show y'all something, just to show you like how important it is to have patience. So I found this yesterday. I thought it was so funny. So in 2014, I launched my first digital product. Right, these were ebooks. Right, I had these ebooks. I wrote. This is like 238 pages worth.
You created that?
I created it. Yeah, 2014. First digital product, right? It flopped. I didn't know anything about digital marketing. I had it on my website. I thought people were going to show up and I thought they were just going to buy it. And I wasn't driving traffic on. So I didn't know about any of that, right? I didn't know about any of that stuff. And now 7 years ago now, because we're what, 2021? Yeah, almost 7 years ago, my first digital product, right?
How'd you feel after that?
How did I feel after that? Honestly, I think it's like a God-given talent. Like I get amnesia. Like I get amnesia about failure. Like people might look at me and think George just never fit. Like George, everything else, he's just dropping this, he's doing that. I just outrun my failures. I don't think I've ever said that in that way before, but I outrun I get amnesia. I remember I had a business partner when I first got in the financial services business. And like, he was like, man, you ever have like cancel appointments or like people who no call, no show, or like people who say they're going to move forward and they don't move forward. And then I opened this drawer that I had. It had like all these files. This is before people started saving stuff on Google Drive. I had all these files. I was like, yeah, I do. But I was like, that was yesterday or that was last month. Like, not worry about that. And I'm not proclaiming to have like the superior mindset. I just felt like today, I got another chance. And I think this will really resonate with people, who were in jail. It's like, it's all profit. Like if you are able to, get out of jail and then do whatever, like you might have little moments of discouragement, but how does that moment of discouragement compare to being locked inside, right? It's going to be a small blip on the radar, And so just always remind yourself like, hey, things might not go perfectly according to plan. Like I might think it should go a lot faster. But at the end of the day, as long as you wake up breathing and have another chance to try again, like it's all good. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I guess to answer your question, I felt like, yeah, maybe more people should know about it or maybe more people should buy it. But like, I didn't lose any sleep over it. I just kept getting better. I kept, evolving. And then, because we like reconnect, was it last year or the year before last? No, 2019, I feel like. Because I'm saying last year. And when I said last year, I was thinking 2019.
I'm thinking 2019 when I say last year.
Yeah, so it was 2019, right? And so like, that version, it evolved into that version of me. And now I'm even better than that version of me. And so it's like, but what happened if I would have stopped? What happened if I'm like, oh, nobody wants to hear my voice? And that was so many years ago. I had videos that like I created. And I was so monotone. I had no charisma and I was uncomfortable on camera. But I kept going. So my advice to you is keep going. Someone wants to hear your story. Someone wants to buy your stuff. Someone needs what you got. No, don't ever think that what you're doing isn't important. And that's how you start. I didn't start with 16,000 followers. I started with one. I got on Instagram in 2012, you know what I'm saying? And just, I kept showing up, kept being consistent, and, you know, and I don't even care about the followers, right? But just start where you are, do what you can, use what you have, and never be afraid to reach out, or never be afraid to ask for help. There's some people that are willing to give their help, willing, you know, and it resonates more. But either way, just like if you see somebody that's doing something that you feel like you can learn from, don't hesitate to reach out, and don't be discouraged if they don't help. Right.
Definitely don't get discouraged if they can't help, because you also have to understand people may not have the bandwidth to help you. It's not that they wouldn't want to, they just may not have the time for that. And, you know, just like George let you guys know, if you guys feel that you have some kind of skill that you can hone in on and you want some additional information, he has you with the class. If you contact me, if you just want to speak to me about like the trials and tribulations of starting my own organization, working and doing all these things, I'm here to talk to you. Because yes, I just bought a car, but like I believe I said, it's a 2010. I made sure it was used. I made sure that I'll be able to pay it off in a couple months. My next step, now I'm purchasing an apartment. So it's like baby steps for me. So yes, I would love to get out of prison. I would love my own house. I would love you know, a place or whatever, but it's just, I've had to invest in myself along the way. Mm-hmm. And so it's going to make that apartment a little bit more worth it.
Absolutely. Like, it's going to feel good. Like, you know, you can't, like, the wins don't feel that good if you don't have any comparison point. You know what I mean? Like, man, I know what it was like to be in this position. I know what it was like to take an L. I like the wins feel good for me now because I know what it's like to like create something. It's like, damn, nobody really bit yet. But what I now know is I just didn't understand digital marketing. It's not that nobody wanted it or only 7 people. I'm gonna go back and try to find how many people bought it, but it's embarrassingly low. It's just that I didn't understand how to get in front of more people. You know, so when you see me talking about the sleeping bag society now, like this is years in the making. Enjoy the journey, enjoy the process, because the destination is elusive, right? So like the journey, it's almost like being an athlete, right? It's like the championship is one game. Our championship is one game, but how many games you got to play to get to the championship? How many practices do you have to play, right? How many years do you go with it not being guaranteed that you're even going to make it to the championship? So imagine if the only thing the athletes enjoyed is that they got that trophy. Like they literally didn't enjoy anything else, but like if I get one day hold, this is the trophy. One day hold the trophy, right? Like that means 90% of their career would be miserable. You see what I'm saying? And that's how life is. So forget about the destination. How can I enjoy the process? Right? I know that sounds like a cliche, but I'm just giving you the analogy of why it's so important to enjoy the process, because the trophy isn't promised first and foremost, right? I don't know why I keep pulling that in like it's an actual trophy, but the trophy isn't promised first and foremost. And then secondly, there's a lot of other stuff that you have to do before you're even eligible to win the trophy. So you got to figure out how to enjoy the journey along the way. You know what I mean? And so
I know that's you're supposed to have like a glass and just end it and just be like, yes, cheers. You know what I'm saying? Well, definitely. I hope that everybody that is listening, you know, like I said, if you are impacted by the system, you are going through the system right now, or you know somebody that's in the system, you know, take yourself out of whatever you feel labeled as and listen to this advice and worry about what you would like for yourself. You don't get to let America tell you that you have to settle for a means of income. You don't get to let America tell you that you have to work overnight in a warehouse until you're 50. You know, there are other means that you can look for. So even if you do have to work at a warehouse for a year, it might suck. But like we said, you can get a side hustle, you know, boot camp, and you can start building something so you can leave the warehouse. It does last.
And you're a living proof of the importance of not being ashamed and sharing your story, right? Because if you didn't share, like we knew each other, right? In college, we talked a couple of times, right? Mm-hmm. But then because you shared your story, like we've talked way more since we graduated, right? In the past, since 2019 till now, than we ever would have talked when we were right across the street. You know what I'm saying? Because I learned about your story, and then we got connected, and I wanted to help, right? And so like that's the other thing is like, if you like sharing your story is actually going to get you more help, right? And so like I became invested in being a resource to her, right? Whereas other people might pay me for the same information, you know what I mean? And so it was like, nah, I just want to like, I had no idea that was going on. I didn't know where you were. I just thought you didn't care about social media anymore. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, like I literally, that's what I thought. And so, and then when I learned that, and then we got a chance to connect, then now we're sending each other voice notes about Taco Tuesday and all sorts of stuff, right? So it's like, put yourself out there so that you can even attract those resources. If she would have been like, ooh, I don't want anybody to know, I'm gonna just pop back up, only my close friends and family knows, like that, I went like, so this wouldn't be happening. You know what I mean? And so it's like, put yourself out there. Don't be afraid of it. It's part of your story. It's almost like baking a cake, right? If I gave you a stick of butter by itself, it might taste terrible. If I give you a handful of flour by itself, it might not taste that good, right? When you mix all the ingredients together, they're all necessary to make that cake. And so your situation, your season, for whatever the reason you got incarcerated, justified or unjustified, it's just an ingredient in the recipe. And it's actually needed whether you realize it or not. And so don't be afraid to talk about that, because you're going to attract the help. You're going to attract those resources. But if you keep it to yourself, you're not even going to get the chance to, be able to be connected to people, to be able to change your situation just by us having a relationship now. And now you listening to this podcast or watching this video, now you're going to get something free that other people have to pay for, right? Just by taking that chance. And so by reaching out, well, what happens if you don't reach out? Because you're like, oh, I don't really want her to know that like I'm in this situation. You know what I mean? So like, be vulnerable. There's velocity and vulnerability, and that's going to get you to where you want to be. So I know I'm on my soapbox right now, but like,
no, I'm not even about to follow up. I'm just about to tell the people where they can find you if they just want to look you up on the internet.
Yeah. So believe it or not, George, like Acheampong in Ghana. So my dad's, Ghanaian, my mom's from Farmville, North Carolina. Still don't know how all that happened. But anywho, so believe it or not, Acheampong, right? Acheampong is like Smith in Ghana. So luckily, when you type in George Acheampong in Google, I'm usually the first one that comes up, but there are others. So if you want to tap in with me, I recommend going to my Instagram. At George Acheampong Jr. She'll probably add it to the show notes because you probably wonder how to spell it. I do have a personal brand website that I don't really promote, but it's like a home base if you want to just know about all my stuff. So it's easier than me telling you about this and this and this. You can go to like georgeacheampong.com. That'll kind of give you a quick glimpse into everything. But if you go to my Instagram, same deal. Like you look at my bio, you'll see like the different things I have going on. And I'm here to help. I'm putting myself out there, So as by virtue of our relationship and her bringing me on the show, now you got me, as a resource too. And to the extent of what's possible, I will help. If I'm not available in a one-on-one capacity, we'll give you access to my resources, and I'll maybe do a quick voice note or whatever I can do to help. But you're not alone. You have people that want to see you win. And just put one foot in front of the other every day. It's just about winning the day. It's not about solving every single problem. It's not about catching up. Just win the day.
So I said I wasn't going to say anything, but this is how we're going to close the show. So when you look at, if anyone listens to my podcast or you see a flyer or you see like a photo shoot and you're like, oh, she looks like this, or she has a new car and she has it together, please, like we said about social media earlier, do not let these images fool you that I've been living easy since I've been released out of prison. It's been a fight. I have had to invest in myself. I was putting money into organizations and I wanted shoes, but I knew how important correctional abuse are. So it was a sacrifice. It was a struggle. The car that I was driving last year, I made a promise to myself. I said, I'm not driving it this next year because the heat went out. And I didn't want to invest in the car anymore. And so I'm literally driving in the cold every time, not comfortable, and it's just you have these, this anxiety because you're just like, oh, they're going to say that they can't hire me, or, oh, I can't do this. You can do everything. It's going to be hard. It's going to be very hard, but it's possible. And if you ever need reassurance, if you ever need validation, affirmations, or just support, please at any time reach out to me on any of my streams, and I will definitely do whatever I can to assist you.
Awesome. You know what? I'm gonna charge you something with one last thing, because there's people who haven't even been incarcerated who feel like they can't do something, right? And so if you've been incarcerated and come out and you're able to still, make the most of things, what I want you to do, and this is not for my benefit, this is for the benefit of people knowing that it's possible for them. I want you to record a quick video explaining your testimony. Like, hey, look, I didn't even think that the side hustle could apply to me. And I did this. And I like basically explaining like, what you were able to do, because I think that's going to empower people to realize like, wait, I'm sitting up here. I'm just not doing this because I'm intimidated or I think that I can't. And then here she is, having all these obstacles that she has to face as someone who was formerly incarcerated, and she can find value and she can make something happen. I think that's going to be inspiring to a lot of people. So I want you to record that. Why don't you send it to me? I'm going to post it on the landing page of the Side Hustle Bootcamp.
Like, Mama, I made it.
Mama, I made it.
Well, you definitely heard it here first. I'm going to have all of his information in the bio below. You'll be able to link to him. Like he said, follow him. He's there as a resource if possible. His stories alone on Instagram are constant resources, because I just feel like he'd be thinking about gyms and he just has to get it off of his head. So you might learn, you don't know, you might learn a new workout. You might learn about what you can do with 50 cents in your pocket, or you might learn how you just cook some, I don't know. What's the last thing you cook? Like some waffles or something.
Oh yeah, I'm cold with the boy. Yeah, I'm a man of many hats. You know what I'm saying? When I retire from being a financial advisor, I might do something. I might like be a chef or something.
That'd be super cool.
I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna say this on the show. So like I've wanted to do this idea called Restaurant Rebels for the longest, right? So here's the concept. Concept is you go to your favorite restaurant or you Google it, whatever you prefer. You look at what they have on the menu, see how much it costs, and then you basically recreate that recipe at home, trying to mirror the recipe of your favorite restaurant. Mm-hmm. And then based upon the cost savings, I then give you a financial gem on what to do with that money. So for example, let's say you go to like Del Frisco's and like you love this recipe and it's like $85 or something to eat it. You recreate that same vibe, same everything. You're probably going to be able to do it for like half that price. And then I give you a tip on what to do with the other $40. I've been wanting to do that but like really like Food Network style though. Like I'm talking about like this.
Yeah, like big kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, so, I just thought about that because a random place came to my head. I'm addicted to kava.
Kava's good.
But it's healthy. Like I get it's a sweet pumpkin something, sweet potato, white potato, something like that. Mm-hmm. It's literally romaine lettuce, like maybe like 6 or 7 cubes of sweet potatoes, 3 scoops of hummus, and maybe some feta. Mm-hmm. And I'm paying $12 for that.
Right.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
Yeah.
I can make that super cheap. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. I know I probably like went off the rails a little bit, explaining different things, but hopefully.
No, everything was necessary and digestible. And I hope that, it actually touches someone and they trust us to know that they can still reach out.
They can still reach out.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in to the Correctional Views this time. We will be back next week. I know we've been talking about a lot of stuff with finances. It gets crazy because I've been out for a year and I did start dating and stuff. So it's out of prison and dating. It don't. But we're gonna talk about that next week. This is fun.
I gotta hear that episode.
I'll see you guys next week.
Peace.